Barak, Yahweh, Alam, Shalom, righteous family. Welcome back to True Talk. This is gonna be a quick one. I'm not gonna be on here too long. I just come to give my opinion, my thoughts on or how I feel about a certain situation, history, if you may say, or our ancestors. Uh, I heard many times people ask the question, what about our ancestors that was in slavery? Would they make it into the kingdom? Because we know that they was eating unclean meats. You know, they was eating the leftover of the pig that the slave master was giving to them. We know that they wasn't allowed to marry. So they was forced to fornication and even into adultery, being an adultery. And we know that they went through hell on earth, being oppressed, mistreated. But despite all this, they sung songs of praise to the Most High. And they believed in the Most High and His Son. So many ask the question, well, since they did not keep the commandments and did not know they was Israel, which I believe many of them knew they was Israel, and that's evidence when you go through history, you know, but a lot of them probably didn't know they was the chosen, you know, but the question is, you know, will they be saved? And my thoughts and opinion on it, they are like the thief on the cross next to Mashiach. That's the perfect example of our ancestors. Now, let me address the issue with the thief, you know, because some people use the thief being saved or making it into paradise as the example why we don't have to get baptized. They'll say, you know, the thief, he didn't get baptized and he made it into the kingdom. But first, you don't know that. You don't know if he was baptized or not, because when John first came on the scene, 3 years later, that's when Christ got crucified and John was baptizing. And from my understanding, during those 3 years, uh, the Messiah and his had his disciples baptizing people. So we don't know if he was baptized during that time or not. And but we do know that he was a thief. He even admit he was a thief. He said, you know, I'm rightfully up here getting my punishment, but this man is innocent. It remind me of my ancestors, because our ancestors was rightfully being punished for the breaking of the laws and commandments. So they was rightfully getting crucified. And in the midst of them, in the midst of their pain of being afflicted or suffering rightfully for their disobedience, just as this thief, they still had faith in Mashiach. And Mashiach seen that and said, don't worry, this day you will be in paradise with me. And that's a beautiful thing because it's written. It says that the Most High will have mercy on who he will, and who he will not have mercy on, he will not. And I always say, when they say, well, certain things can't be done, it's like, okay, the Most High can do anything. And the Most High, he made certain laws and rules for us, but he's governed by no one. And he's made decisions best, you know, how can I say, when he do something, there's no bad, good, or wrong because he who he is. You know how they say nobody's above the law? Yes, he's above the law. He's the one that created the law. So reminds me of the verse in Revelation where it says, I have opened a door that nobody can shut, and I shut a door that nobody can open. And it's like there's certain doors that the Most High shot that nobody can open, but him if he choose to. And there's doors that when he open, can't nobody shut that door for you but him. So there are certain things that he may allow that he shot that door and they say, well, we can't do this, but he say, for this person, I'm gonna open that door. And nobody can shut that door. For this person, I'm gonna shut this door and nobody can open it. But we know he have mercy on who he will. And of course, the Most High, he's not, come on, let's not assault our Most High. He's not by a little bit dumb or don't know what's going on. He know when our ancestor was going through that. He know that it was being ruled over, that they had no choice of what to eat, that they had no choice of freedom. They wasn't free. They couldn't free to choose to keep the Sabbath or to celebrate the holy days or wherever the case may be. But he knows our heart. That's what he says. He says he knows the heart of people. And he knows people's attention. And the Most High is one thing when you don't know. It's another thing when you know. When you know, then you have no excuse. You're guilty. But when you don't know, then the Most High understands. It was like the scribes and Pharisees when the Most High said, he was talking about the blind man, and he was saying, some people got sight but can't see. And the scribes and Pharisees heard him and said, oh, are you trying to say we blind? And he said, if you was blind, then that would have been good because you would have had an excuse. But he said, because you say you see, now you ain't got no excuse. In other words, you know what's going on. You know you wrong. You know what's supposed to be done. You're not doing it. So now you had no excuse. If you was blind, if you truly did not know, then there was room for mercy. And that's what it means when it says the Most High is merciful and everlasting. And that's what it means when it says that grace is a free gift. So a lot of people try to mistake that and say, we don't have to do no works, it's a free gift. We don't have to keep the law. No, what he's saying is you don't have to do nothing to attain mercy or grace. It's a free gift. He choosing it to give it to you. Now he gonna give it to who he will, and he gonna give it to those that's obedient. But also there are some people that has not been as obedient as they should. But because of the situation, because of their ignorance, because of, whatever the case may be, the Most High know their heart. There's more when that uh, mercy, that free gift become even more of a free gift. When it becomes even more, it's not by your effort. It's not by your might. It's not because of your deeds, but it's because the Most High chose to have mercy on you. And that's what it means to when I believe when the apostles Paul was talking about that grace is a gift and it's nothing that we can actually do to actually attain it. There's something that the Most High decides. He decides who to give it to. Once again, he have mercy on who he will and mercy on who he not. And depending on the circumstance, that you can not have done the work, but had the heart based on what year you brought up in, like being a slave, but you trust in the Most High, that you gonna receive that free gift of forgiveness and be able to enter into the kingdom. Now, I just gotta read this before I leave. Luke chapter 3, Luke chapter 23, and we're gonna start at verse 39. And this is this when they on the cross, this is what one of them said to Christ. 39. And one of the malefactors which was hanging railed it on him. Talking about Christ. Now y'all both up there dying. You say something nasty and mean to the man that's dying beside you. This is what he say. You say, if you be Messiah, save thyself and us. Verse 40. But the other one answered, rebuking him, saying, does not thou fear Allah Yah, saying that thou art in the same condemnation? Verse 41. And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds. But this man has done nothing amiss. Verse 42. And he said to YHWSHA, Master, remember me when thou comes into thy kingdom. Verse 43. And YHWSHA said to him, truly, I say to thee, today shall thou be with me in paradise. Now, let's just say that this man was not baptized. Let's just say that he hadn't confessed his sins. And but he kind of did confess his sin when he said that, we are here for our due deeds. But let's just say that he hadn't fully confessed his sins, as the scripture tell us, the due process. He hadn't truly confessed his sins. He hadn't been baptized, and he hadn't walked out a life of keeping the Most High laws, statute, and commandment. He was dying, being crucified for being a thief. But before he died, he took up for Christ. Remember Christ said, if you denounce me in front of man or be ashamed of me in front of man, I'll be ashamed of you in front of my Father. If you deny me in front of man, but if you announce me and proclaim me in front of men's and women's and the world, whoever, that I do the same for you in heaven. So this is what this man did. He proclaimed and took up and, and didn't deny the Messiah and said, dude, don't you fear the Most High? And then he turned around and said, showing his faith, that he believed that this was the Messiah. He said, when you get to the kingdom, Remember me in your kingdom when you get there. Remember me because I acknowledge that you are the king. I acknowledge that. So remember me. So by that faith he had, he was justified. And it wasn't because of no works that he done. Wasn't because of no effort, but just because his faith, the Most High had mercy on him through his son. And his son said, you know what? Because the judgment is given to his son. Son said, don't worry, I got you. And I truly believe it's the same way with our ancestors. So for those that's puzzled or was worried or that was something that was heavy on your heart, because I know at times it's been heavy on my heart, you know, about our ancestors, our loved ones, because they endure so much for us to be here today. And, I salute our ancestors, but thanks the Most High that they may not have known who they was. They might not have kept the law perfect, but because they believed in the Most High, and the Most High have mercy on who we will, I believe there'll be more slaves in the kingdom of heaven than there is free people today, because today we have no excuse. It's being told who we are. It's been told what we need to do. If they were blind, they'll have an excuse. But now their eyes open, as they always say, we in the age of information. They think they so wise, but because you say your eyes open, and you have no excuse. So that's my take on about our ancestors and how do I feel? Do I feel that they made it into the kingdom, even though they weren't obedient to the Most High as they should? Because, like I said earlier, they was just as the man on the cross was being punished, they also was being punished. But in the man on the cross, even though he was being punished and was not living a righteous life, he acknowledged Christ and believed in Christ and was accepted by Christ. And the same thing for our ancestors. So just look at our ancestors as being the thief on the cross that accepted Christ. Till next time, Shalom.